Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. Sorry, a little tiny glitch there, and I was on the wrong screen. There's the opening bell. Welcome to the open of trading. We are. It is Thursday, July the 9th, 2026. The market has just opened, and really, I'm going to tell you kind of a bizarre start to this day where we've got some chip stocks, Micron and AMD going way up, and you've got a bunch of tech stocks, other tech stocks going way down. One of which is Google, which we have a trade on, and I'm not sure why you've got one of those going up the way it is and the other one going down. Nvidia, it seems to me they're more of a chip stock and should be in there with Micron and AMD, and they're also down a little bit. So kind of an odd situation with what's going down, what's going up. The overall market, just jump to that really quickly. Uh, the overall indexes, everything was positive pre-market. Let's get this refreshed really quick and see. I'm seeing on my TV up in front of me, Dow up 55, where this says 100. It's got a little bit of a delay. Dow up 55, 52, 53, 55. NASDAQ up 264. I think those numbers are relatively accurate. So we're off to a good start with the indexes, but like I said, a couple of outliers. One of the other outliers is the Lockheed Martin trade that we just barely opened up. I see that they're also trending to the downside, and I have not had a chance to read any news or see any of the reason why that might be the case. I would have thought a defense stock like that, with things apparently picking back up in the Middle East, I would have thought a defense stock like Lockheed Martin, sorry, I'm tongue-tied, would have been on the move to the upside. But there's your Lockheed and Northrop hit with price target cuts. I'll have to read that article when we're done. So Lockheed's down a little bit, still trading above the $520 a share that we would like it to trade above. And Google is down, but not as much as it was just in the opening moments and pre-market. I'm likely going to roll that Google trade out a week and then give it a chance to come back a little bit. And if it doesn't, and it doesn't do so very quickly, then I'll have no problem with switching it to a bear call spread or doing something else with it. Don't like that it's down this morning, but it's 1.25%, and it could certainly turn around and come back the other way really easily. Micron, loving the move up on Micron. I have felt all along while Micron was selling off that it was somewhat unjustified, or that it was exaggerated or overdone. You just never know how long it might take for it to turn and go back the other way, but it's having a strong move up this morning, after a little bit of a move up yesterday. So it's looking good right now, but still a ways to go. And I'm looking at Google and Lockheed Martin. Neither one of them are down as far as they were at the open. Nvidia down a little bit farther. So just kind of a bizarre day. There hasn't been a lot of brand new news to add on. This headline is interesting to me. He says Iran called to make a deal. Um, I there's a part of me that hopes now, after what I said yesterday, I'm not gonna go back on what I said yesterday. There's a part of me that hopes that Donald Trump is finally figuring out, no matter what type of a deal maker he believes he is, and this is where I do think there might be a little bit of hubris on his part. No matter what type of a deal maker he thinks he is, you simply cannot trust Iran. Whatever they tell you, there's a 99% chance that they are lying, and I think you've got to be conscientious of that, and not give any ground on that. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. So we'll see what goes on there. Like I said, there's not a lot of other big breaking news this morning that is necessarily driving things. The fact that oil is down a little bit after moving up yesterday is certainly helpful, and that could be directly resulted to the remarks, or a direct result of the remarks the president made. But again, we'll see on that. So I'm I'm encouraged by the things that are moving up. I noticed that the Dow Jones Industrial Average has now moved to the downside. I'm not sure which Dow components are guilty for bringing it down. I can find out in just a second. Looks like Salesforce and IBM, and then of course Microsoft. And that's the other thing. Our Microsoft trade is looking fantastic. In fact, I think yeah, right at the open, before we got going very far, my Microsoft trade filled, and I'm out of Microsoft for $2.45. So the Microsoft trade that we opened, I've now exited that profitably at 245. So great trade for just being on a couple of days. Hopefully we get something similar happen with Lockheed Martin and Google. Lockheed Martin still trading above where we need it to be, and Google is not terribly far off. Wouldn't have to come back too much to be in a good spot on that. And then of course AMD. We've rolled that AMD trade out a couple of times, and now we've got. I don't know how I got there. We rolled that AMD trade out a couple of times, and now we've got AMD. We still have the expiration for next week, but it went down there and tested 500 just like it's done several times. This trend that it's been in for a while now, um, multiple times now it's come down, tested 500, hasn't gone below and stayed below. Did go a little bit below it yesterday before it actually finished slightly positive, but now it's moving back up, and I don't see any reason for this trend to not continue the way it's going right there for the foreseeable future. So I think we're going to be in really good shape on that as well. We're just, I mentioned this yesterday. I'll mention it again today. We're not very far away from earnings season. That's coming right up. I'm looking forward to that. There's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of action on earnings season. It's going to be interesting for a number of reasons, the least of which is we'll get a read on what has happened with companies related to the Iran war, and having, reporting a full quarter where the oil prices and gas prices could have affected everything about those companies. So that will be very interesting to see there, and see how that plays out. I don't have much more for today. I'm keeping a really close eye on Google, a really close eye on Lockheed Martin. Google is now back up to almost 360, 359 and some change. We'll keep an eye on and monitor that. I still don't think it would be a bad idea to maybe roll that one out just 1 week. Could probably do it for a second. I saw a break even. Now I'm seeing a very, very small debit on it. I'll watch that and let you know if I decide to roll that out a week. I know some people probably already have done that. And then, we'll hope that it just continues to rebound and ends up being flat or positive on the day to where we could maybe get out at a break even. So we'll watch all of that closely, and I'll let you know what we decide to do. And I'm going to wrap up right there. I don't have anything more for today. There will be some more. I've told you collar trades are coming, but I'm waiting for the right timing on them. Once that gets going, you'll see a lot of collar trade adjustments come in rapid succession, 2 or 3 a day for a couple of days, and we'll get that squared away and done. All right, I'm going to wrap up right there. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'll see you back on live tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.